Hi, so I'm here to answer a question about grief and loss and how to deal with that in children, specifically when it relates to one of their parents passing away. And so a lot of it does depend on the age of the child, but regardless, I would say first off, if their parent is sick, be honest with them. If their parent does not have long to live, be honest with them. They can sense what's going on. They can sense that there's something wrong, and sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't. But make sure that you talk to them in an age appropriate manner about what's going on so that way, they can say goodbye. Regardless if their parent died suddenly or, of an illness over time after after the death, make sure that the child is a part of the funeral. Make sure that they get to put up some decorations, choose some pictures if they want for the funeral. And obviously, you have to take into consideration the child's age. This is a really hard time in a child's life, and it's something that I think that not a lot of people can relate to because most people, their parents die when they're older, and so there's a sense of mortality that I think we have when we're little, or immortality, if that's even a word. And when your parent dies, it's really scary. Like, things can just happen. And so, to make sure that you're talking to them, make sure that they know that it's not their fault. Make sure that even if their last words were "I hate you," that you let them know that their parent loved them. And I would really recommend for you to go seek out a therapist, have a couple of sessions. Your child doesn't even necessarily need to go, it might be helpful, but just for you to go to be able to learn how to talk to your child and activities that can help the grieving process. So, a couple of those things that I recommend is, do a memory box and have the child put specific pictures in there, maybe the parent's favorite hat, things that remind them of the parent. Write stories. Do storytelling with them, where you tell stories, they tell stories, and write those things down so that way they're not afraid of forgetting their parent, because that, sometimes kids say it, sometimes they don't, but they forget, like, I'm sorry, they're afraid that they're gonna forget what was my dad's favorite food, what did my mom smell like, what would my dad have said during this situation. And so maybe look at through pictures, and if there's a story that comes up, write it down, and so that way they'll never forget what's going on. Because you have to also remember, if they're little, how early is your earliest memory? If they're 5 or 7 or 9 when their parent dies, they might not really remember a lot when they're older. And so if you're writing those things down that they can reflect back on, that's wonderful. The other suggestion I would make, and some people think, they would never do this, but if you're sick, if you are going through an illness, make your child a video, that they can play the day that you die, on their wedding day, on their graduation day, on a day that they're just sad and missing you, maybe on a day that they have their first child. Whether you die or not, this is something that children would love to have, you know. And so I hope that was helpful. I would really encourage you to go to therapy for a few sessions. I really would, just to help you help your child, and so that way your grief doesn't overwhelm your child. So I hope that was helpful, and I'm really sorry that you're even having to watch this video. I know, how horrible that must feel and be, and I can just imagine. So take care of yourself.